Captain He Jin stood at the bridge of the Earth exploration vessel Persistence, his hand steady on the control panel despite his racing heart. The massive alien ship ahead of them was unlike anything humanity had ever seen. It sparkled like a diamond in space, changing colors as it moved. "Sir, they're sending another message," said Officer Lee, her voice calm but her eyes wide with excitement. "It's clearer this time. They want us to dock with their ship." He Jin took a deep breath. After 3 days of careful communication attempts, the alien vessel had finally sent instructions they could understand. This would be humanity's first real contact with alien life. No more radio signals, no more distant observations. This was the real thing. "Send our acceptance," he said, "and get Dr. Sun Mi up here. We'll need our best scientist for this." The docking process was surprisingly simple. The alien ship adjusted to match their basic technology, rather than expecting the humans to match their advanced systems. He Jin found this oddly comforting. At least these aliens seemed willing to meet them halfway. When the airlock opened, He Jin led his small team into the alien ship. Dr. Sun Mi walked beside him, carrying her basic testing equipment. Behind them, Security Officer Park kept his weapon lowered but ready. They had all agreed that showing trust was important, but being careful was just common sense. The alien greeting party waited in a plain white room that looked almost disappointingly normal. There were 3 different species present. One was tall and muscular, with skin that looked like metal. Another was small and delicate, with large eyes that seemed to glow. The third looked like a cloud of sparkling dust in a roughly humanoid shape. The glowing-eyed alien stepped forward and spoke. To everyone's surprise, the words came out in perfect English. "Welcome, humans of Earth. We are the Galactic Council's first contact team." He Jin bowed slightly, a habit from his childhood that felt right in this moment. "We are honored to meet you. I am Captain He Jin of the Earth exploration vessel Persistence." The metallic alien made a sound like bells ringing. "Interesting. They show proper respect, but their bodies are so average. No natural armor like mine, no telepathy like Cyrillin here," it gestured to the glowing-eyed alien, "and no energy form like Coordinator Val." The cloud of sparkles shifted slightly at being mentioned. Dr. Sun Mi stepped forward, her scientific curiosity overcoming her caution. "You mean each of your species has special abilities, specific evolutionary advantages?" "Of course," said Cyrillin. "All advanced species specialize. That's how evolution works, yet your scans show you are remarkably unspecialized. Average strength, average speed, average senses, average everything. How did you even achieve space travel?" He Jin felt a mix of pride and amusement. "We worked together. We learned. We adapted. Humans might not be the strongest or fastest, but we can do a bit of everything." The 3 aliens exchanged looks, though how the cloud managed this, He Jin couldn't tell. They seemed confused by this concept. "Perhaps," said Coordinator Val, its voice sounding like wind chimes, "this explains how you created a working ship with such basic materials. You don't excel at any one thing, so you had to become good at combining many different skills." "That's exactly it," said Dr. Sun Mi, pulling out her tablet to take notes. "Humans have always been generalists. We can't outrun most predators, but we can run longer. We're not the strongest, but we can throw things accurately. We're not naturally armored, so we learn to make tools and shelters." The metallic alien stepped closer, its movements causing slight tremors in the floor. "Yet you show no fear of us, despite our obvious advantages. Why?" He Jin smiled. "Because we've learned that every advantage usually comes with a disadvantage. We're curious about what we can learn from you, and what we might be able to teach you in return." The 3 aliens went silent for a moment, communicating in some way the humans couldn't perceive. Finally, Cyrillin spoke again. "The Galactic Council will want to study this adaptability of yours. It's not a trait we commonly see. Most species focus on developing their strengths, not maintaining balance in all areas. We would be happy to share information, said Heijin. That's why we're out here after all, to learn and to grow. As the first meeting continued, none of the aliens seemed to notice how carefully the humans observed everything around them, how quickly they adapted to the alien environment, or how easily they shifted between different styles of communication to match each alien species. Their very averageness made them invisible as a potential threat. And that, though the Galactic Council didn't realize it yet, was humanity's greatest strength. Fascinating, said the head examiner, a being made of pure light named Ao. You neither excel nor fail at any test. Your responses are consistently average. Sunmei wiped her forehead with her sleeve. Is that a problem? It's unusual, Ao replied, floating closer. Most species we test show extreme abilities in at least one area. The Titans can lift mountains. The Seers can read minds across galaxies. The Energy Collective can travel through stars. But humans, you just do everything moderately well. The next test involved solving puzzles. Some were simple, others incredibly complex. Sunmei worked through them steadily, never setting any records but never giving up either. See, Ao's light flickered with interest. You didn't solve them the fastest, nor did you find the most elegant solutions, but you completed every single type of puzzle. Most species excel at one kind and struggle with others. In the observation room above, Captain Heijin watched with other council members. The metallic alien from their first contact, now known as Warguard Tech, made a grinding sound of frustration. I don't understand the point of this evaluation, Tech said. The humans show no outstanding qualities. They should be classified as a primitive species and placed under protection. Heijin kept his face neutral, but his mind raced. He had noticed something during their week at the station. Each advanced species had amazing abilities, yes, but they also had major weaknesses. The super-strong Titans couldn't handle delicate tasks. The telepathic Seers struggled with physical work. The energy beings couldn't interact with solid matter easily. Below, Sunmei had moved on to physical tests. She ran on a treadmill that adjusted its speed and gravity. She wasn't the fastest, but she kept going long after many species would have quit. She lifted weights, not as much as a Titan, but more than a Seer. She solved math problems while running. Not as well as an energy being, but better than a Titan. Notice how she adapts, said Seerlin, who stood next to Heijin. When the gravity increased, she changed her running style. When the math got harder, she slowed down to think. Simple adjustments, but effective. The final test was the most challenging. Sunmei had to work with representatives from 5 different species to build a complex machine. The Titan kept breaking delicate parts. The Seer couldn't lift the heavy pieces. The energy being struggled to hold tools. Sunmei didn't try to do everything herself. Instead, she watched how each species worked and helped them work together. She asked the Titan to lift heavy parts carefully, following her guidance. She had the Seer coordinate everyone's actions. She got the energy being to check the calculations. Stop the test, Ao announced suddenly. The room froze. Is something wrong? Sunmei asked, looking up from where she was helping steady a piece for the Titan. No, Ao replied, its light pulsing thoughtfully. Something is very right. You're the first species we've tested who thought to use everyone's strengths together, rather than trying to prove your own superiority. Heijin smiled. Finally, someone had noticed what humans did best. Humans aren't specialized because we can't be, Sunmei explained, putting down her tools. Earth has too many different challenges. We had to learn to adapt, to work together, to find solutions that combine different approaches. The council members in the observation room began talking all at once. Tech's metallic face couldn't show expression, but his voice held surprise. They're communication specialists. Their average abilities let them understand and work with any species. More than that, said Lin, her glowing eyes wide. They're universal adapters. They can fill in for almost any role if needed. Not perfectly, but well enough to help. O floated up to the observation room, its light gentle. I recommend accepting Earth as a probationary member of the Galactic Council. The humans' ability to understand, adapt, and combine different approaches could be extremely valuable. But they're so simple, Tech protested. Simple, He Jin asked quietly. Or efficient. We don't need super strength if we can build machines. We don't need telepathy if we can learn to communicate well. We don't need to be energy beings if we can create tools to do what they do. The room went quiet as the council members considered this. Finally, O spoke again. Perhaps, it said slowly, being average at everything is far more dangerous than being exceptional at one thing. After all, a species that can adapt to anything is a species that can survive anything. Sun Mi gathered her testing equipment, hiding a small smile. The council was starting to understand, but they still didn't grasp the full truth. Humanity's greatest strength wasn't just their adaptability. It was that nobody saw them as a threat until it was too late. Jai-Ho stared at the medical readings on his screen, his tired eyes barely staying open after 3 days of non-stop work. The Titans of Proxima B were dying. Their powerful, specialized bodies were falling apart, and nothing in the galaxy seemed able to stop it. Another treatment failed, reported Dr. Kang, his research partner. She looked as tired as he felt. The Titans' enhanced immune systems are too strong. They destroy every medicine we try. The problem was spreading across Proxima B. The Titans, a species that could lift mountains and survive in space without suits, were being killed by a simple virus that had mutated to use their own strength against them. Their bodies are too specialized, Jai-Ho muttered, rubbing his eyes. They're so focused on being strong that they can't adapt to new threats. The Galactic Council's meeting room was full of representatives from advanced species. The Titan's ambassador, a massive being named Crix, slammed his fist on the reinforced table. Our best warriors are dying. Crix shouted. We need a powerful cure, something as strong as we are. Jai-Ho looked around the room. The energy beings suggested burning out the virus with radiation. The telepathic seers wanted to try mental healing. The mechanical species offered to build stronger containment units. Everyone suggested solutions based on their own specialties, but none of them worked together. Then Jai-Ho remembered something from Earth's history. What if we don't need a powerful cure? He said quietly. The room went silent. Everyone turned to look at him. Explain, human, Crix demanded. Jai-Ho stood up, his voice growing stronger as he spoke. On Earth, we learned that sometimes the best solution isn't the strongest one. Sometimes you need to combine different small solutions that work together. He walked to the main display and brought up his research data. Look, the virus is using the Titan's strength against them. Their powerful immune systems are causing most of the damage. So instead of making a stronger medicine, what if we made several gentle ones that work together? The council members looked confused. Seer Lin, who had supported humans before, spoke up. But gentle medicines would be too weak to help the Titans. Not if we use them the right way, Jai-Ho explained. One medicine to calm their immune system a little. Another to help their bodies heal naturally. A third to fight the virus slowly. None of them very strong on their own, but together. That would never work, Crix interrupted. Our bodies are too powerful for weak medicines. That's exactly why it will work, Dr. Kang added, standing up to support Jai-Ho. Your bodies fight off strong medicines because they seem like threats. But small, gentle treatments might slip past your defenses and work together to help you heal. The room erupted in argument. Some council members thought the idea was crazy. Others saw the logic but doubted it would work. The Titans were especially doubtful. They believed everything had to be as strong as they were. Let us try, Jai-Ho pleaded. We've already lost 3 days trying it your way. Give us 1 day to test our idea. Crix looked at his medical readings. More Titans were getting sick every hour. Finally, he nodded. 1 day, human. That's all you get. Jai-Ho and Dr. Kang worked fast. They created 3 mild treatments. One used earth herbs to gently calm the immune system, another contained basic vitamins to support natural healing, and the third had weak but clever medicines that could slip past the Titan's defenses to fight the virus. "It's ready," Jai-Ho said after 18 hours. None of these would help much alone, but together. The first tests were done on 3 sick Titans. Everyone watched nervously. After 6 hours, their fevers started dropping. After 12 hours, they could stand again. By the end of the day, they were almost fully recovered. "I don't understand," Crick said, looking at the simple medicines. "These are so basic, so average. How did they save us when all the powerful treatments failed?" Jai-Ho smiled tiredly. "Sometimes being average is better than being powerful. When you're average, you can adapt. You can work with others. You can find solutions that strong forces might miss." The council members looked at the humans with new respect. They were starting to understand that humanity's averageness wasn't a weakness. It was a different kind of strength. "Perhaps," said Searlin thoughtfully, "we have been too focused on making everything stronger, faster, and more powerful. The humans show us that being balanced and adaptable can be just as important." As Jai-Ho packed up his medicines to treat more Titans, he heard the council members talking among themselves. They were finally beginning to realize that the galaxy needed more than just specialists. Sometimes it needed species that could bridge the gaps between extremes. Species like humans. Council member Du Yun sat in the great library of the Galactic Hub, surrounded by floating screens showing thousands of years of space history. For 3 months, he had been studying patterns in species survival rates, and what he found worried him. "Computer, show me the crystal beings of Rigel again," he said, rubbing his tired eyes. The screen lit up with images of beautiful creatures made of living crystal. They had been one of the most advanced species in the galaxy, able to process information at incredible speeds through their crystalline bodies. But they were gone now, extinct for over 1,000 years. "Now show me the depth dwellers," he ordered. New images appeared, massive creatures that had lived in gas giant planets, able to withstand enormous pressure. They too had vanished, unable to adapt when their planet's cores began to cool. Du Yun added these cases to his growing list. As he worked, his assistant, a young human named Yuri, brought him a cup of coffee. "Find anything interesting?" she asked, looking at the screens. "Too interesting," Du Yun replied. "Look at this pattern. Every species that specialized too much eventually died out. The ones that survived were the ones that could change." Yuri set down the coffee and looked closer at the data. "Like the Titans almost did with that virus." "Exactly." Du Yun pulled up more records. "The Titans survived because they accepted help from humans, but look at the species that refused to adapt. All gone." Just then, an emergency alert flashed on their screens. A colony of telepathic seers was in trouble. Their power crystals, which they relied on to boost their mental abilities, were failing. They were asking the council for help. "Let's go," said Du Yun. "This is a chance to test my theory." They took a fast ship to the seer colony. When they arrived, they found the seers in panic. Without their power crystals, they could barely communicate with each other. "We need stronger crystals," the seer leader told them. "Our whole society depends on powerful telepathy." Du Yun watched as Yuri walked around the colony, looking at everything with curious eyes. She wasn't a specialist or an expert. She was just a regular human who liked to learn new things. "What if you don't need the crystals?" Yuri suggested. "Humans talk without telepathy all the time. We could teach you other ways to communicate." The seers looked shocked. "But we've always used telepathy. It's what makes us advanced." "Being advanced isn't just about having one strong ability," Du Yun said, understanding more as he spoke. "It's about being able to survive when that ability isn't enough." Over the next few days, they worked with the seers. Yuri taught them simple hand signals. Du Yun helped them learn to write messages. They even started using simple electronic devices to stay in touch. It's slower than telepathy, one young seer admitted, but it's reliable. And we can still use our telepathy for important things, saving power. Du Yun added this case to his research. Then he called an emergency council meeting to share what he had learned. Look at the evidence, he told the council, showing them case after case. The species that focused everything on one ability eventually faced problems they couldn't solve. But the species that kept different options open survived. Like humans? Asked Wargard Tech, who had been quiet until now. Exactly like humans, Du Yun agreed. They're not the strongest, fastest, or smartest, but they can do a bit of everything. When one approach doesn't work, they try another. The council room was quiet as everyone thought about this. They all had amazing special abilities, but they had seen humans solve problems that none of them could handle alone. There's more, Du Yun continued. Humans don't just adapt themselves. They help other species adapt too. They're like universal translators between different ways of thinking. Yuri, who was taking notes in the corner, spoke up. On Earth, we have a saying, Jack of all trades, master of none, but better than master of one. It means being good at many things can be better than being perfect at just one thing. Du Yun nodded. That's what makes humans so important to the galaxy. They show us that being average isn't a weakness. It's a form of strength we never understood before. As the council members discussed this revelation, Du Yun looked at his research again. The pattern was clear. The future of the galaxy didn't belong to the most specialized species. It belonged to those who could adapt, change, and help others do the same. And humans, with their wonderful averageness, were showing everyone how to survive. The Apex Federation ship arrived at the galactic hub, like a dark cloud blocking out the stars. It was twice the size of any human ship and covered in weapons. Its message was simple. Humans didn't belong in space. Commander Tayri stood at the hub's main window, watching the ship dock. She was chosen to represent Earth because she was perfectly average for a human. Average height, average strength, average intelligence. The council thought this would make her the best example of humanity's true nature. They want to test you in 5 challenges, said Captain Hejin, standing beside her. Each challenge is designed to show how specialized species are better than generalists like us. Tayri nodded calmly. They're trying to prove that being average means being weak. Let them try. The apex champion was a tall being named Orcs. His species had spent thousands of years improving themselves through genetic engineering. They made themselves stronger, faster, and smarter, but only in specific ways. Your first challenge is strength, Vorok's announced in the hub's great arena. He lifted a weight that would crush most humans. Match this, or admit humans are inferior. Tayri walked to the weights. She couldn't lift as much as Vorok's, not even close. But instead of trying to match his strength, she used a simple pulley system to lift the same weight. The challenge was to lift the weight, she said. You didn't say how. Vorok's frowned. The second challenge was speed, a race through the hub's corridors. Again, Tayri couldn't match Vorok's incredible speed. Instead, she took shortcuts through maintenance tunnels, knowing the hub's layout from studying the maps. She finished just behind him. You cheated, Vorok's complained. I adapted, Tayri corrected him. That's what humans do. The third challenge was a puzzle that required incredible mental processing power. Vorok's enhanced brain solved complex equations instantly. Tayri took longer, but she found a simpler solution that Vorok's had missed because he was too focused on showing off his computing ability. By now, a crowd had gathered to watch. The Apex Federation had always pushed other species to specialize, claiming it was the only path to advancement. But Tayri was showing a different way. The fourth challenge was survival in a harsh environment. Vorok's used his enhanced biology to resist extreme conditions. Tayri used tools and protective gear, working with the environment instead of fighting it. See, Vorok said during the final challenge, which combined all the previous tests. You need tools and tricks because you're not naturally superior like us. Tae-ri wiped sweat from her face as she worked. We use tools and tricks because they work. Being adaptable means using whatever helps you succeed. The final challenge required them to cross an obstacle course, solve puzzles, lift heavy objects, and survive changing environments, all at once. Vorok was incredibly fast and strong, but he struggled when he had to switch between different tasks. Tae-ri kept a steady pace. She wasn't the fastest at anything, but she never had to stop and switch modes. When Vorok had to pause to shift from physical challenges to mental ones, she kept going. When he got stuck on a puzzle, because he could only think about it one way, she found another approach. In the end, Tae-ri finished first, not because she was better at any single part, but because she was decent at all of them. How? Vorok demanded. You're not superior in any way. That's exactly why I won, Tae-ri explained, offering him a hand up. You're amazing at each thing you do, but you have to stop and change modes. Humans don't. We're always ready to adapt. The council members watching the challenge looked at each other with new understanding. The Apex Federation had tried to prove that specialization was the key to success. Instead, they had proven why humans were so dangerous. They never excelled, but they never failed either. Perhaps, said Searlin to the other council members, the most dangerous species isn't the one that can do one thing perfectly, but the one that can do everything adequately. As Tae-ri left the arena, she heard the Apex Federation representatives arguing among themselves. Their whole belief system was based on becoming the best at specific things. They had never considered that being average at everything might be its own kind of strength. Good job, Captain He-jin said quietly. You showed them what humanity is really about. Tae-ri smiled. I showed them what they didn't want to see, that sometimes the most powerful ability is not having any special abilities at all. Minna sat in her workshop on the galactic hub, surrounded by pieces of technology from a dozen different alien species. Other engineers called her workspace a mess, but she saw it differently. To her, it was a place where different ideas could meet and combine. What are you working on now? Asked Tech, the metallic war guard who had become a regular visitor. He was fascinated by how she mixed technologies that his people would never think to combine. I noticed something interesting, Minna said, holding up a crystal from the Seers and a piece of Titan metal. Everyone uses their technology in just one way. But what if we mixed them? The Galactic Council had given her permission to study alien technologies after she fixed a problem that had puzzled them for years. The teleporters used by energy beings couldn't transport solid creatures safely. Instead of trying to make the teleporters stronger, Minna had added simple safety features from human elevator systems. Look at this, she said to Tech, putting the Seer crystal into a holder made of Titan metal. The Seers use these crystals for telepathy, and the Titans use this metal for strength. But together, she connected a simple power source. The crystal began to glow, and the metal started humming. What's happening? Tech asked, his metallic face showing no expression but his voice full of curiosity. The crystal amplifies mental energy, right? And the Titan metal amplifies physical energy. When you combine them just right, Minna adjusted some settings on her control panel. The crystal and metal created a field of energy that could lift objects without touching them. It wasn't as powerful as Titan strength or as precise as Seer telepathy, but it could do something neither technology could do alone. That's impossible, Tech said, watching a heavy box float gently across the room. Those technologies aren't meant to work together. Minna smiled. That's what everyone says. But humans are good at seeing new ways to use things. We don't excel at making any one kind of technology, so we learn to mix different kinds. News of Minna's innovation spread quickly through the hub. Soon, her workshop was full of visitors from different species, all bringing their technology for her to study. The energy beings showed her their star-walking devices. The deep space dwellers brought their vacuum shields. The gravity manipulators shared their field generators. Each species had amazing technology, but they only used it in one way. "Your mind works strangely," said an energy being named Val as it watched Minna work. "You don't fully understand any of our technologies, but somehow you see connections we miss." "That's because I don't try to master any one system," Minna explained, connecting parts that had never been connected before. "I learn a little bit about everything. It lets me see the big picture." Over the next few weeks, Minna created several new innovations. She combined seer crystals with deep space shields to make communication systems that worked in any environment. She mixed Titan metals with gravity technology to make ships that could land safely on any planet. None of her inventions were as specialized as the original technologies, but they could do things the original creators had never imagined. "I don't understand," said a young seer watching her work. "How can you create new technologies when you don't fully understand any of them?" Minna put down her tools and thought about how to explain. "Think about cooking," she said. "You don't have to be the world's best chef to know that sweet and sour taste good together, or that some spices work well with certain foods. You just need to understand enough about each ingredient to see how they might work together." The council called a special meeting to discuss Minna's innovations. Some members worried that mixing technologies this way was dangerous. Others saw the potential for solving problems that had troubled them for centuries. "The human shows us something important," Seer Lin said during the meeting. "We've all been so focused on making our own technologies better that we never thought about combining them." Minna stood before the council, her hands dirty from work, but her eyes bright with excitement. "Every species has amazing ideas," she said. "But sometimes the best solutions come from mixing simple things in new ways. Humans might be average at everything, but that means we can understand a little bit of everything too." As she spoke, notifications kept appearing on the council's screens. More and more species were requesting access to Minna's research. They were beginning to see that being average wasn't a weakness. It was the key to innovation they had never imagined. Captain Yunho stared at the massive space anomaly on his ship's screen. It looked like a tear in space itself, growing larger every hour. 3 different alien species had colonies in its path, but they couldn't work together to evacuate. "The Titans won't leave their gravity-enhanced homes," reported his communications officer, Songni. "The energy beings can't understand why the crystal people won't just transform into energy and escape, and the crystal people refuse to trust anyone else's ships." Yunho rubbed his tired eyes. The tear in space would reach the first colony in less than 2 days. They had to do something. "Get me a direct line to all 3 colony leaders," he ordered. When the connections were ready, he took a deep breath. "This is Captain Yunho of the Earth ship Unity. We're here to help with evacuation." "We don't need help," the Titan leader boomed. "Our homes are strong. Our energy form is safe from any physical danger." The energy being flickered. "Our crystal structures can resist space itself," the crystal leader chimed. Yunho looked at his crew. They were all average humans, but right now, that was exactly what the situation needed. "Listen to me," he said calmly. "I studied the anomaly's readings. It's not just a physical threat. It's breaking down the basic rules of space. Nothing is immune. Not strength, not energy, not crystal." He sent them the data his science team had collected. "But if we work together, we can save everyone. Each of your species has part of the solution. Together, we have all of it." The colony leaders argued, but Yunho kept talking. He didn't try to impress them with strength or intelligence. Instead, he listened to their concerns and explained things in ways each species could understand. "Here's the plan," he said finally. "The Titan's gravity technology can help move the crystal people's homes. The energy beings' fields can protect everyone during transport, and the crystal people's navigation systems can guide us all to safety. But we don't know how to work with other species' technology." The crystal leader protested. Yunho smiled. "That's why we're here. Humans might not be experts at anything, but we can work with everything. My crew will help connect all the pieces." They split into teams. On the Titan colony, Officer Park helped them modify their gravity generators to be gentle enough for crystal structures. In the Crystal City, Engineer Kim worked with their scientists to adapt their navigation systems for other species ships. Among the energy beings, Dr. Lee figured out how to make their protective field solid enough for physical beings to use. "I don't understand," a young Titan said, watching Park work. "You're not as strong as us, but you can work with our machines better than we can." "That's because we don't try to overpower them," Park explained. "We learn how they work and adapt to them." As the anomaly grew closer, Yoon-ho's teams kept working. They didn't excel at any one task, but they could do every task well enough. More importantly, they could help different species work together. 30 minutes until the anomaly reaches the first colony, Song-ye announced. Yoon-ho looked at his display. The evacuation wasn't perfect. It wasn't as fast as the energy beings wanted, or as strong as the Titans preferred, or as precise as the Crystal people liked. But it was working. The combined fleet moved through space like a dance. Titan gravity beams held Crystal City steady. Energy fields protected everyone from radiation. Crystal navigation systems found safe paths through the chaos. 10 minutes to impact, Song-ye called. "All colonies report full evacuation," Officer Park added. "Everyone is safe." As they watched, the anomaly swallowed the empty colonies. But thanks to their teamwork, no lives were lost. "How did you know this would work?" the energy being leader asked Yoon-ho later. "Because being average at everything means we can see how everything fits together," Yoon-ho explained. "Sometimes you don't need to be the best. You just need to be good enough at bringing out the best in others." The 3 colony leaders looked at each other differently now. They had always seen their differences as barriers, but humans had shown them that differences could be strengths when used together. "Perhaps," the Crystal leader said thoughtfully, "this is why humans are so important to the galaxy. Not because they're special, but because they help the special ones work together." Yoon-ho smiled as he watched the combined fleet travel to safety. The crisis had shown everyone something important. In a galaxy full of specialists, sometimes you needed a species that was simply good enough at everything. Council historian Jun Seo stood before the great assembly of the Galactic Council. Behind him, a massive screen showed images of humans working with different alien species across the galaxy. His hand shook slightly as he prepared to present his theory. "Distinguished members of the Council," he began. "For the past year, I have studied every report about human activities in space. What I found will change how we see the galaxy forever." The council chamber was fuller than usual. Word had spread about Jun Seo's research, and representatives from every major species had come to listen. Even the Apex Federation, who still distrusted humans, had sent observers. "We all know humans are average," Jun Seo continued. "They're not as strong as Titans, not as smart as crystal beings, not as fast as energy creatures. But look at what they've done in just 2 years of joining us." He showed clips of recent events. Dr. Sunmi's assessment, Jae-ho saving the Titans, Min-ah's innovations, and Captain Yoon-ho's rescue mission. "These weren't just random successes," Jun Seo explained. "They show a pattern. Humans aren't just survivors, they're universal adapters. They can work with any species, use any technology, and solve any problem by combining different approaches." A Titan leader stood up. "But they need tools and help for everything. They can't do anything special on their own." Jun Seo nodded. "Exactly. That's their strength. Because they need help, they learn to work with everything and everyone. They don't try to be the best at anything. Instead, they try to understand everything a little bit." He showed new data on his screen. "Look at human colonies. They don't excel at anything, but they never completely fail either. When other species face problems they can't solve with their special abilities, humans find different ways to help. Like when they saved our colony," said a crystal being. "They didn't try to be as perfect as we are. They just found ways to make different technologies work together. Jun Seo pointed to more examples. Humans can't lift mountains like titans, but they can operate titan machinery. They can't read minds like seers, but they can use seer crystals. They can't become energy like energy beings, but they can work with energy technology. The council room buzzed with discussion. Many species were starting to understand what Jun Seo meant. But here's the most important part, Jun Seo said, his voice getting stronger. If any species in the galaxy disappeared, humans could partly fill their role. Not perfectly, but well enough to keep things working. This statement caused an uproar. The idea that simple humans could replace any species was shocking. Think about it. Jun Seo continued when the noise died down. If the titans vanished, humans could use their technology to do heavy lifting. If the seers disappeared, humans could use their crystals for communication. Humans aren't the best at anything, but they're good enough at everything. An energy being floated forward. Are you saying humans are more dangerous than we thought? Not dangerous, Jun Seo corrected. Valuable. In a galaxy of specialists, we need generalists. We need species that can understand everyone, work with anyone, and help solve any problem. He showed one final image, a map of the galaxy with human colonies marked in blue. Around each human colony, other species were working together better than ever before. Humans are like universal translators, Jun Seo explained, not just for languages, but for ideas, technologies, and ways of thinking. They bridge the gaps between specialized species. They see connections we miss because we're too focused on our own strengths. The council chamber was quiet now. Every being present was thinking about their own interactions with humans. We thought being average made humans weak, Jun Seo concluded. But being average at everything means they can understand everything. In a galaxy full of specialists, the species that can work with everyone becomes the most important species of all. After Jun Seo finished speaking, the council debated for hours. Some species were worried about depending too much on humans. Others saw the advantage of having universal adapters in the galaxy. But they all agreed on one thing. They had underestimated humanity. Being average wasn't a weakness. It was perhaps the most powerful trait of all. In a galaxy where every species tried to be the best at something, humans had become the best at working with everyone. 5 years after first contact, the galaxy had changed. Human colonies dotted the star maps like bridges between different alien territories. Everywhere humans settled, species that had never worked together before began to cooperate. On the Galactic Hub's observation deck, Captain He Jin stood with Dr. Sunmai, watching ships from 20 different species dock together smoothly. In the past, such mixed traffic would have caused accidents and arguments. Now, human traffic controllers helped everyone understand each other's ways of moving through space. Remember when they thought we were too simple to join the council? Sunmai asked, smiling as she watched a Titan ship carefully maneuver past a delicate crystal being vessel. Now they call us the bridge builders, He Jin replied. Not because we build actual bridges, but because we help everyone connect. Below them, in the hub's main plaza, Mina's technology center was busy as usual. Species that once guarded their secrets now shared knowledge freely. Human engineers helped them combine their ideas in new ways. No human was the best engineer, but they were all good enough to help everyone work together. Emergency call from the seer colonies announced a young controller named Jinwoo, but his voice was calm. Emergencies weren't as scary as they used to be. On the main screen, they saw the problem. A solar storm was heading towards several colonies. In the past, each species would have tried to survive alone. Now they work together, using humans to coordinate their efforts. Titan shields are moving into position, Jinwoo reported. Energy beings are ready to redirect excess radiation. Crystal ships are calculating safe routes for everyone. He Jin watched proudly as his people helped coordinate everything. Humans weren't the strongest defenders, the best calculators, or the most powerful energy manipulators. but they understood enough of each skill to help everyone work as a team. In another part of the hub, Jaiho's medical center treated patients from all species. Human doctors weren't the best at any one type of medicine, but they could learn enough about every species to help them all. More importantly, they helped different species understand each other's medical knowledge. "Doctor," called a Titan nurse, "the crystal patient needs help, but I'm afraid I'll break their delicate structure." "That's why I'm here," Jaiho said kindly. "I'll show you how to use gentle touches, and you can show me how to support their weight properly. We'll learn from each other." News arrived from Earth about the latest graduation from the new Galactic Academy. Young humans were training to work with every species in the galaxy. They learned a bit of everything: Titan strength techniques, seer communication methods, energy being physics, and crystal technology. "They'll never be as good as the specialists," someone once said. "That's exactly why they're perfect," Council member Du Yun had replied. "They're good enough to understand everyone, but not so focused that they forget how to talk to others." In the council chamber, representatives discussed the changes of the past 5 years. Trade between species had increased, fewer conflicts arose, and those that did were solved more easily. Every species was advancing faster by sharing knowledge through their human connections. "The humans have made us stronger by showing us our own weaknesses," said Warguard Tech, who had once doubted humanity's worth. "We were all so focused on being special that we forgot how to work together." Even the Apex Federation had changed. They still believed in being the best, but they had learned that working with others didn't make you weak. Their colonies now welcomed human advisors who helped them communicate with other species. "Humans are like universal translators for the galaxy," Searlin explained to a group of young aliens. "Not just for languages, but for ideas, feelings, and ways of living. They bridge the gaps between all our different kinds of special." As the day ended, Pei Jin looked at the activity around the hub. Humans weren't in charge. They didn't want to be. Instead, they were everywhere, helping everyone. Teaching Titans to be gentle, showing energy beings how to work with solid matter, helping crystal people understand organic life. "We're not the strongest, smartest, or fastest," he said to Sunle. "We're just good enough at everything to help everyone be their best." Sun Li nodded. "That's humanity's real strength. We don't try to be special. We just try to understand everyone who is special in their own way." The galaxy had entered a new era, not one ruled by the strongest or smartest species, but one where everyone worked together, connected by the species that was average enough to understand them all. And that made humanity the most important species of all.